You've inspired a whole bunch of people in that room just there earlier on. Bog roll, innovation, driving it. But today is all about businesses seeing that actually doing good, bit of a pun there, can actually make you money. And there's nothing wrong with that, is there?
No, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Money, for me, is about how to do something efficiently.
Yeah.
It's about efficient use of capital, okay? And that's why I think businesses are so good, because they have to think of it through that lens. I have a limited amount of resource and capital. Where am I going to spend it to best effect? And when you're thinking about the challenges around climate change, that's exactly how you should be thinking. Now, there are some areas where you need to experiment and try things because you don't know what the answers are yet. And those are more difficult to use that method. But once you've got a technology and you need to get it out there, that businesses are brilliant.
If you look at where we are now, I don't know if you saw that earlier on, there was the mayor was here. We had a little film that looked back over the year, the 3 prime ministers, a funeral, new royal, a big nuclear sustainable, all of that. Do you sit and wonder whether we're actually in the right direction or we're just in a state of chaos around net zero? Because we go from, this is the big thing, this is what we're going to do, and then we have a mix of messages, not just from policymakers, but also from businesses about where they are. It was all about committing to targets a couple of years ago. Now it's everyone's like, what do we do?
I think it's a really interesting question. It does feel a little chaotic.
Yeah.
It does feel that we are sort of bowling along.
Yeah.
We've got other crises. You've got the cost of living crisis, which feels like it's gathering momentum, not going away. And what's so frustrating, I guess, for me, is that actually it can all solve. You can solve all the similar problems, whether it's cost of living crisis, whether it's energy, whether it's the diversity crisis as well. You can You can begin to solve them all together. But sometimes people aren't very brave, actually. And we need relatively brave leadership. And what we absolutely know is politically we haven't had that.
No.
We've had silly leadership and sort of snipey leadership, but not brave leadership. We've got probably what feels a bit more like sensible leadership now. It's not awful, but it's not brave, and it's not going to actually help us solve the next issue. And so we need a new set of leaders, really.
And that's what I was going to say. Do you think it's the political slight vacuum we've had over the since Brexit, basically, and certainly the post-pandemic, that hasn't really inspired businesses to do much? They sort of said, yeah, we buy the target, we're going to do something around net zero. And then they've all gone, well, not sure what government's doing, we'll sort of do, I'm going to do this and you're going to do that. And no one's got a real message from what I can see.
I think things are still happening. I don't think things are not happening. I think the issue is you get the big oil companies who get the big headlines.
Yeah.
So any step back or anything that they're doing, that tends to be where a lot of the press focus is. My feeling amongst a lot of the companies I'm working with is actually we're gaining momentum. So Crown Estate, doing a lot on sustainability across the whole portfolio. And that actually, I guess for me, that's really exciting, where you see organisations where sort of thinking about climate change is probably in a very small part, is now across the business. And they're thinking about how do you make all their buildings sustainable, how do you make all their agriculture sustainable, and what are we doing about the seabed? And that's super exciting. And I think businesses who can start to think in that long-term way with those long-term opportunities, yes, I think my sense is I think everybody's slightly keeping things under their hat until we really figure out what the next leadership is going to look like in the UK.
For a business that's listening to this or watching this, what's your easiest win to try and do something a bit cleaner and greener?
Actually, I think it's to empower your employees to do it. So I think give them the tools, the information, a bit of training, and let them go off and be creative. The reason I wrote The Green Startup is that it's got some really practical things that anybody could pick up that book and go, oh, I can change the way I'm doing my job. And get sustainability embedded in the thinking, because one of the things that I come across time and time again is that I recently was at another organisation looking at their new branding, and they had lots of oil flares on it. As part of the branding, it's like, why have you got no wind turbines at all? It's like, 43% of our energy now comes from renewables, and you haven't got it represented in here at all. So I think it's that's where I see the gap, is that People who know about this area, people who know about sustainability know, but everybody else doesn't think it's anything to do with them.
Yeah.
And that's the thing businesses can change. Make it everybody's job in the organisation to think about sustainability.
We're trying to do that with this event. We're trying to do that with Future Net Zero and the learning platform. And for me, it's very key that businesses like us, SMEs, do something, and that's information. Earlier on, we heard about, could the grid do more? Could we hear more from government? Could we hear from Ofgem regulating better? Where do you think, as someone who started a SME that scaled, that message, because you're right, most people, and we've got some here, which is great, but most people are from bigger companies. I really want more SMEs to think that we can be part of this. And I think there's a disconnect, isn't there?
Yeah, and there's a brilliant book called The Corporation, I think it is. It's a very small book, and one of the key images that sticks with me is that when people go through that revolving door when they go into the office, they shed all their ethics and all their sustainability and walk into this place where they suddenly become this badass.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we should bring our full people to work, and actually our businesses should appreciate that, and we should be as ethical and sustainable as we are in our personal life as we are in our business life. And businesses need to figure out how to allow that to happen.
We've got here at this event, I've had to go around and police people because they're still trying to give away stuff, right? We said, and they said to me, oh, but it's a recycle pen and I said, but the energy it took to make, well, no one needs it. Everyone's got a pen, they don't need it. But there's a mindset that we can do ourselves, aren't there? Little steps. You go, do we really need to buy the tap that we give away when we're doing a business? Do we really need to use that contract? Can we move our fleet to electric?
Marketing departments.
Yeah.
Ask the marketing department to put sustainability at the heart of everything they do. So every stand, if they want somebody to take the brand away, how can you do that in a brilliantly creative, sustainable way?
There we go. Finally, what have you thought of the event? It's great to have you here.
Oh, it's got fantastic energy. It's really nice to see the sector, because I don't always get to see the sector en masse. And it is an amazing sector. So the energy sector, started talking about it, is what we do is quite extraordinary. We are the magic of our society.
Without doubt.
Without that, we'd be cooking on cook stoves, for heaven's sake.
Can't trade anything, nothing.
No. And so we are incredibly important, I think, in the future. It's really nice to see people talking about sustainability, thinking about it. What I'd really love to see now is what the action plans are coming out, and really not just on the companies themselves, but also what are our action plans about training up enough people, because this sector needs people. We need more people to come and join us to come and help fix this problem.